headed ABS competition. Talked to my engine builder this morning, and the news was pretty horrible, honestly. So, long story short, I guess, for now, I have my spare crank in the back of the Hilux. We're going to be dropping that off to him, and we're going to take a sneak peek on what really is in this Underdog 7M. See you guys in a minute.
That's good. You may want to just put that in there. I mean, this one's not ready to break, but it's just going to get progressively worse as time goes on.
So cracking, like within...
Yeah, inside this rolled fillet,
right.
There's a couple of them here that are just starting to show. Like, it uses this magnetic fluorescence.
Right.
That we put in this magnetic field and then look at it under black light, and you can just see it starting. You know, sometimes
cracks,
when they're really big, they'll be very pronounced, and this one is just starting, but knowing that you want to step on it more and have more boost and stuff, then you probably want to start out with something that has no issues.
Okay, so I brought my spare crank.
Yep. So we'll crack check it and make sure that's all good.
Okay. Yeah.
And then we can use that.
So it's more reliable, or?
Well, it's pretty tough to probably do anything there. I mean, without knowing exactly what the Rockwell hardness is on this particular crank, they can be, you know, gas ion nitrided to give it a harder wear surface.
Right.
But I don't think there's an issue with that, because you're not seeing any wear on this crank.
No.
From that regard. And so it looks like the factory crank is quite capable. I mean, profiling, typically what happens is you would turn the diameter of the crank down so it was a little more consistent, then you'd shape round the front corners and do all this stuff, and then you have to rebalance it, of course. Yeah. At that point, but that's a pretty minimal gain for something that's boosted.
Okay, right.
You know, if you were looking for that last 5 horsepower or something like that, then you might do something like that. But realistically, for what you're doing, I don't think it's worth all the extra effort and time. You know, you spend quite a bit of money getting that all profiled, and there's a minimal gain there. Minimal, okay. Yeah, you know, your money's probably better spent somewhere else.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, okay, yeah. Sure. Yeah, I mean, well, you're the doctor, so I can only work on your advisements. But
yeah, I don't think that, you know, if you have a real sharp edge somewhere where it's leading into, as the engine's turning, it's leading into the windage in there, you know, sometimes you want to just round those corners a little bit, which will typically help. But these cranks are pretty much done that way, right, the way they're forged. The only place is when you get a little machining where you have just a sharp edge there, but everything else is rounded off anyway.
It's kind of what you want from factory almost.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. I mean, that's like anything, you can get carried away, but the gain is small.
Okay, almost not worth it. Well, I mean, a couple times, like, it did get hot.
The biggest thing I'm seeing is, you know, you're getting some oil in the combustion chamber.
And just as a result of...
Well, it can be rings, it can be valve seals. The thing is, anything overhead cam is pretty well bathed in oil. Yeah. So there's a lot of oil that can get down the valve guides, you know, and come down in there. And your rings in general, I mean, they're at the point that they have some wear. The way we would determine is just how sharp the ring edges are. Right. Of course, the second ring is a scraper ring, so it is typically a little sharper anyway, or it has a Napier hook in it. And the top ring, when it gets sharp, when you run your finger across it, the top, when you feel really like sharp edges on both sides, it's done. But these still have they still have a barrel face on them, so and the pistons look okay. So.
You know, a real bit. They probably would have lasted a little bit.
Oh yeah, as far as the rings go, yeah, they would have gone more. Okay. The other thing that you watch for is if the tension has gone away, like all of a sudden the end gap's closed right up. Right. Yeah. It's been overheated. Yeah. These still have good tension, and they're not showing signs of any issues there. So I'd say tune-up wise, it's been pretty good.
But so okay, so short of the no titanium rods, they're actually steel. There's no no surprises.
Yeah. No, it's like I say, it got JE piston in it.
Yeah.
And a nice heavy pin, which is good for what you're doing. It's a nice connecting rod. Yeah, nothing in there seems to be jumping out that there's really any problems. So.
Cunningham, but steel.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I mean, what are you gonna do?
Yeah, no, like I said, that
There's a thick pin though.
Yeah, it has a nice pin in it.
I guess the guy never knows what he buys until it gets taken apart.
And sometimes people, you know, it's just a buzzword. Oh, I got this, I got that.
Yeah, that's what I think it was, probably.
You know.
Crazy.
Any means, you're just seeing kind of where it expands a little bit more and touches the bore.
Okay, so the skirt wear is okay. Yeah. I mean,
yeah, and if we're putting rings in it and you're filling it, partial fill, it needs a little more clearance anyway, because with that stiffer bore with the fill in there, you're going to need a little more clearance on the piston because it's not going to grow like it did before.
Oh, it won't. No.
So
really?
Yeah.
Okay. So, I mean, this was already pretty loose.
That's going to help you filling it. It's going to tighten it up for you.
Okay. Sure.
But the bores, you know, like I say, they're generally good, so it's going to be more of a.
And the block ended. Did you go over the block? Is it? It's not cracked.
Well, I haven't crack checked it yet. We're just getting ready to clean it here.
Okay, great. Because that was I don't know, anything that I just want to make sure it's mint.
Yeah. Well, it's probably the main bulkheads or the big area that you need to check out and see what's what.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you're the man. You're the mad scientist behind it all. So, I mean, I'll take your word.
Yeah, like I said, the way it came apart, I'm not suspecting I was kind of surprised to see those cracks starting in the crank, because usually before that happens, you're going to see those caps fretted up pretty good.
Yeah, and they look nice.
Yeah,
they look
real
nice.
Yeah.
I'm shocked, honestly. So factory main caps. In your opinion, this car had made north of 1,000 on the dyno and multiple times on the street. The factory main caps, in your opinion, are safe.
They're pretty sturdy. I mean, you look at the size of this cap, you know, compared to the diameter of the crankshaft, and the size of the fastener that holds it on. It's pretty good, you know. So, I'm not thinking that they're a real big issue. It's like anything. If you really start cranking the power up on anything, you start finding the weak points.
That's right. Yeah. I'm just so shocked that the mating surfaces were still look machined.
Yeah, yeah. There isn't one that's fretted. So
wow.
I mean, we see that all the time on, particularly the longer stroke motors that are making a lot of power. I mean, they're bending those caps and hopping them right off the block.
Yeah, yeah. That's totally what I expect. Is the amount of anti-lag and you know, whatever that this car sees is great. I totally expected bad stuff. But good.
The valve guides anyway, just because they're submerged.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, I did notice, like, after, you know, when I started every spring, like, it'll choke down, like, probably a half a liter of oil, right? And it's just smoking out the shop. And so definitely the valve seals.
Yeah, and the other thing is, too, on your turbo, when things sit, sometimes it'll leak past that into the turbine, and of course when it gets some exhaust heat in there, just smokes. Starts to
burn it. Okay, right on. Well, good. I'll bring in my other crank, and hopefully that one's got no cracks.
Yeah, well,
it came from,
we're checking them.
From a factory car, so I mean, I'm hoping it doesn't.
Yeah, it probably hasn't been overworked.
Woo! COVID. Yeah, we were wearing masks in there. Totally social distanced as well. Well, that tastes like shit. But we do now know, everybody knows now, that with factory crank, factory main taps, off-the-shelf pistons and steel rods, the 7M is capable, and in Bruce's opinion, respect for the guy. I absolutely take everything he says to heart. Crazy, absolutely crazy. My crankshaft showed zero evidence of being balanced, short of from the factory. Rods, pistons as well, zero evidence of that. Now it's all going to be done the right way. Well, I shouldn't say the right way, because it technically was right before. It's going to be done my way, and I can only hope it's more reliable. So I guess we'll see. The silver lining here is that with off-the-shelf parts, the 7M is capable of making north of 1,000 and reliably. It's absolutely crazy for the guy to say. You know, me being a 7M, an advocate for the 7M, I mean, I'd always like to believe that, but having such an educated man just, you know, say it straight to your face that, oh no, it's all good. They can it'll absolutely take it, and it'll take it for a lot longer than, you know, I was even willing to let it go. Just blew my mind. So that's it. That's it for the update for the Supra today. I'll keep you guys in the loop. See you next time.